I hope that you've been following our conversation. But if you're just joining us, I am with Milka Mutuku. She's a survivor of cancer, a psychologist, as well as a cervical cancer awareness advocate. I got it right,
yes,
yeah? So let us just continue. You are now just telling us of the treatment bit of the cancer.
Yes.
But before that, just help us understand this cancer that you were diagnosed with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. That is cancer of the lymph nodes. Mm-hmm. So what happens is my bone marrow was not corrupted. Mm-hmm. My bone marrow will produce healthy cells. And cells once produced, they are stored in the lymph nodes. Mm-hmm. So when they get to the lymph nodes, then they get corrupted. So now they become cancerous, and that is why it's Hodgkin's lymphoma, because it affects the lymph nodes. Mm-hmm. We have 6 lymph nodes on the neck, on the armpits, and on the groin area, and all of them were swollen. All of them had been affected. Yes.
All right. At least now we have a background of that. Now let us look at now your treatment journey, the chemotherapy. How was it? And at that point now, you just talked over, you had lost hope from the time you let me say you were diagnosed, but you still went ahead to diagnose yourself as well. You just mentioned that you had lost hope. As you began your treatment, probably days after, was there hope now for you?
When I started, at first, no. But I kept encouraging myself, as well as people around me, like my godfather, my family, my friends. People were really supportive. And I think the support kept me going. The constant encouragement, the constant people checking up on you, the constant words of, affirmation, and just, you got this. Yeah. As much as in that moment you don't feel like you do, but they go a long way. Because you feel like you're not alone in this. There are people who are rooting for you. There are people who are holding you. And now after my diagnosis, now we were talking of treatment. So now what's the way forward? We're already here. We know the stage. We know the type of cancer that you have. So what next? And my oncologist had advised us that chemo is the way to go. She had already put out drugs that she had advised will be good for the staging and the kind of cancer that I had. So now I was supposed to have chemo every 2 weeks. So the first week is recovery. The second week I do tests, and then I go in for chemo. And now this time I'm still in school. I'm in campus.
What year?
I was in second year then. Okay. Yes, I think I was finishing my second year. And I have to go for classes. At the same time, I have to go for chemo, and I have to go for tests. Because after the first week of recovery, you have to go for tests. After the second week, you have to go for tests. And it was a bit difficult because I will be in class and I am so nauseated. I cannot listen. I am in class and I just need 1 minute to lay my head somewhere. I remember random days, because by the time you're in, that was second year, third year, when I am in that time, you do not have a hostel in school. And you cannot walk all the way to your house. So I will randomly just go into a hostel and ask a random person that, can I please just lay in your bed for 2 minutes? Just have a nap, 2 minutes.
Those were the effects of the medications and the chemo?
Yes, it gives you fatigue. You feel like you are so fatigued you cannot do anything. So I will go to hospital, and chemotherapy, for me, my first line of chemo, it will take around 6 hours. So the first 1 hour is for initial fluids, that is saline water, and then you have 4 hours of the chemo, and then another 1 hour for water to flush it. So that is a total of 6 hours. So every 2 weeks, one of my family members, either my sister or my mom, would forgo their everyday activities just to take me to hospital. And when you know today we're taking Milka to hospital, you cannot do anything else, because it's a 6 to 6 thing, or 6 to 5. You will just be seated there by my bedside. And I remember it got to a point where I was feeling like a burden, because mom will not go to work because she has to take Milka to hospital. Kate was supposed to go maybe for an interview. She will cancel. and take Milka to hospital. My sister, like there had to be someone with me because I can't go alone. You go in the morning, you have to be there by 7. Because if you're not there by 7, then you won't get a bed in good time.
You were still being treated at Aga Khan or a different
No,
hospital?
at this time I'm being treated at Nairobi Hospital.
Okay.
Yes. My oncologist is also at Nairobi Hospital. Yeah, so we do 6 hours. And at that time you cannot eat anything. So before I started my chemo, my oncologist, advised me to get a chemo pot. So a chemo pot is put on your right hand side, just above the breast, somewhere here. And a chemo pot helps you, instead of having chemo through the veins, you have it through the pot. Okay. So it has a direct link into the heart, whereby they just inject, and this is where the chemo goes in. So this helps because during chemo does not only fight the cancer cells, chemo fights everything in the body. Yeah. And at times you find doctors say that they cannot find your veins, because it is literally fighting everything. Yeah. And now when you have a chemo pot, it helps avoid that. The pricking and looking for the veins, and the other hand, that is what chemo pot helps you with. So yes, we now started the weekly visits to hospital, day in, day out, and school is still continuing at the same time. So at this time, I don't even have time for friends, because I'm either home recovering, or I'm in the hospital, or I'm in school catching up. Because remember, the days I miss, I have to catch up.
And did you share this probably with anyone at school?
I was always very vocal. I was always very vocal about it. I have never, there's no point I've ever hidden my diagnosis or what I'm going through. And I believe it was good for me to be vocal, because there's someone out there, just the same way I'm vocal right now, is for me to encourage someone out there. Because there's someone who's gotten a diagnosis today, and they're feeling what I felt in that washroom. And me speaking about it and telling them I've gotten this far is an encouragement to them.
It is.
Absolutely. So there's no point in my initial treatment, I was not vocal about it. My friends knew, my family knew, I posted it on my socials. It was always out there. Yeah, so this time, when I'm missing classes, I had amazing friends. They will take notes for me. People would send me screenshots of what they did in class today. People would excuse me. I remember my friend Joy. She was very... She really cared for me. When we have a cat, she will go and tell the lecturer, please, my friend is sick. She has cancer. Absolutely. Please, can you give her a takeaway? And I remember there were people on the ground. I always feel favored because I did not walk alone. Like God will just bring people to help me in my journey. And I am so grateful.
And was that now giving you the hope?
That was now the hope was coming. Slowly the hope was coming. But also, as I am going through, every time I get, I do the chemo, the first 3 days will be so bad because of the nausea, the heavy fatigue. I could not stand the smell of food. Nothing will go inside. And this time I will get panic attacks. Because of course I'm still worried about the uncertainty of life. That, we are doing this, but we don't know how this medication will react to my body. Yeah. We don't know how this will take me or work for me or against me. So I was constantly in a state of worry. And remember, I'm also feeling like a burden because I have to put my friends through the whole excusing me, taking notes for me, which they did not mind. But me being the patient, I felt like I'm being a lot. The way I have to, my sister has to go out of her normal routine to take me to hospital. So I'm feeling like a burden.
And how were the finances at that particular time?
I count myself favored because my insurance was covering my hospital bills. So for me, it was not a struggle. The money that had been used when my dad passed on, now it had been, like it had come back. The financial year had been, so we had finances for me to get medication. And that was, I am grateful for that.
It's favor.
It is favor, absolutely, because I know there are people out there who struggle with finances. Yes. So I will constantly get panic attacks, as I was saying. I am sleeping at night and I just feel like my heart is racing. And after that, I cannot go back to sleep. I am feeling as if life is getting out of me. This is just, it's not actually happening that way, but it is something that happens in the mind. It's something we call, in my profession, panic attacks. So I will get panic attacks every so often. Like, I remember I will go in bed as early as 9, but I will fall asleep at 6 a.m. because I am so scared of the dark. People say that most people die in the wee hours of the night, and I don't want that to happen to me. So I'll rather sleep when I can see light outside than sleep when it is dark. And those were some dark times. And I am a counseling psychology student at that time, but I did not know how to practice my profession on myself. Yes, they say mganga hajigangi. That was actually me in that moment. And I would struggle with anxiety, the panic attacks, the constant worry, the feeling like a burden. And I remember every time I would get something, I would run. Like, if I am not home and I can go outside, I will just go sit somewhere the whole day, and my family will get worried. And I remember one day my sisters sat me down and told me, Milka, do you think we don't care about you? You are not a burden to us. We worry and we tear down. But after that, I realized that I am not being a burden. It's just me feeling like a burden. By them being my family, by my friends being my friends, they're obligated to do that. Because I am their friend. I am their sister. I am my mother's daughter. And for me, that was comforting when I came to know that I'm not being a burden, because most patients feel like a burden to their family. They have, especially when I couldn't do anything for myself, they have to take me to the washroom, they have to shower me, they have to change me. And people doing all that for you, most patients feel like they're being a burden to their family, but you're not. I think I will tell them, you're not being a burden. You're part of the family. By virtue of you being a member of that family, they're obligated to do that for you. It's another form of them showing love to you. And accept that. Accept them being there for you. Accept them doing that for you. But it is also okay to not be okay. It is okay to feel like a burden. Just don't let it overshadow you. So,
and now, once you realize that you're not a burden, I know that at some point when our caregivers, let me say, when our caregivers see us strong, they become strong. And when we as patients see our caregivers strong, we become strong as well.
Yes.
Did you like feel, did you become strong so that your family as well, they don't see that like they are not doing anything to you?
Absolutely. So I had to be strong for them, because I could see them being strong for me. I could see that my sister would not cry in front of me, but cry behind the curtain. And I would hold myself so that I don't cry.
You also cry behind.
Yeah, I also cry behind. When they go home, I cry. When they sleep, I cry. But I think it's very okay. It is very okay to have those moments, because we are human beings. And when something hurts, it hurts. And when you're not okay, you're not okay.
You can't fake.
Absolutely. And I think my sister Kate taught me something through that moment of, let me call it fake strong. It is a good strong because you people are holding each other through it. But at the end of the day, you're both hurting. You just don't want the other to see you. And my sister Kate, we started a slogan that we will win. And we will win meant that when Kate enters the room and you're not okay, you can hug and cry. Because this is happening now. We are hurting now, but that does not mean we will hurt forever.
The end of it.
Absolutely. And she constantly told me, we will win. Rheumatoid arthritis, we will win. Milka cancer, we will win. And that was our slogan all through. And we would hug and break down. Because I insist it is okay not to be okay. It is okay to break down. It is okay to feel the feels in that moment. Because it is not just an all smiles journey. It is not just an all strong journey. No, it is not. Chemo is not easy. And anyone that says chemo is easy is lying. Because chemo puts you down. For me, as I was having my chemo sessions, my eyes would lock. And I could not see anything on eye level. I can't walk because I will hit this table. So my nephews and my nieces would hold my hand. And every time my eyes would work, I will not feed myself because I cannot see the plate. Like, I would literally just see the roof, the ceiling all the whole time. And it never gave you a warning that I am coming, it's going to lock right now. No. It just happens. In a blink of an eye, the eyes are blocked. And I remember my mom really wanted to figure out what is this, because the doctors were not understanding. My doctor had not seen anything like that. I went to Lions, the eye hospital in Kikuyu. I literally called every medic I know, but no one could explain it. And that was just the reaction of the chemo to my body.
So it does that for different patients?
People are different, and the meds, they react differently to different people. I have not had anyone who says their eyes locked yet, but I know different people have different reactions to the medicine.
All right. And now, how was the treatment, like all through chemo? How was it? Were you seeing any hopes at that particular time? Was your doctor probably telling you that there is progress, or how was it?
Well, you can't really tell there is progress. The only difference I will feel is that I was not sweating at night. And that was the only source of hope I could hold on to, because we did not do any PET scan in between. We just kept on with the hope that this thing is actually working. When I sweat less, we say that it's working. But I had lost weight. I think in a span of a month, I lost 8 kgs. I literally became so skinny that you could not imagine it's me. But one thing which I say is a testimony is, remember when the doctor said my hair will cut, my skin will, none of that happened.
It did not happen.
None of it happened.
No, your Godfather's words.
Absolutely. And for me, that was God coming. That was God, because my hair grew. Till date, my hair has never gotten to that length. It had full volume and length. My skin was glowing. I don't think I have glowed like that before. It was glowing. My nails had become so amazing. And for me, that was God. And I remember I did 12 sessions. Every 2 weeks, 12 sessions, I finished. And I was excited, because it's like a countdown. You do 12, you say, yay, we've done one. 11 remaining. And we kept going and we kept going. But even as we did the chemo, there are days you will go to hospital because they can't do chemo if your neutrophil levels are low, if your white blood cells levels are low. Remember, I said that chemo does not only fight the cancer cells, it fights everything in the system. So every time you're going for chemo, they have to check your levels. Are they okay? Can you do? If not, you will go home, eat well, and come back. And for someone who's going through chemo, you want to finish. So when they tell you, go home, come back, that's more days. And you feel frustrated. But remember, my support system, they kept me going. So I do my 12 sessions and I finish. And I am excited. I think I actually bought a cake. My family bought, we do cakes. My family bought a cake and we were like, you did it. 12 sessions down. And I took a month at home, and now I had to do my PET scan. And I did my PET scan and I went for the results. But now the results were not positive.
And at that time, were you like, now I've gone through all the steps of the chemo, probably when I go for the result, it will be...
Absolutely. I was so hopeful. At this moment, I was like, yes, cancer is not a death sentence. I have done it, guys. 12 sessions down, I've lost weight, but I am okay. Let's go get the results and move on with life. Now let's start afresh. And I get the results, and the cancer is not over. It's cleared in my lymph nodes, but it's moved to my spleen. Yes.
Was it in the same stage?
For the spleen, they did not tell me the stage. I think it was in the very early stages. It had just moved. So now I go to my oncologist and she says that we have to continue with chemo. And now, the first time I started chemo, I did not know what chemo was. So yes, I was scared, but I did not have an idea of what chemo does, how chemo feels. So it was a new thing I'm going into. Scared, but with no expectations. But this time I have done 12 sessions. I know what chemo feels like. I know the pain. I know the eyes locking. I know the days when I can't eat, I can't shower. I know the days when I'm having panic attacks in bed. And now you're telling me I have to go through that
again.
all over again. And she's saying now you have to do an extra 8 sessions. 8 sessions. I could not imagine. I remember when I was in that office that day, I could not hear what she's saying. After she just said 8 sessions, I went numb. I could not feel anything. I could not, there was nothing, no emotion, no nothing. I remember my mom was crying, my sister was still crying, but I was numb. For the first time, I was not feeling anything. I couldn't hear anything. I was just zero, mute. But when I went home, then it started dawning on me that you're actually not yet there. And each time I remember I would question God, because I was like, thank you, you gave me the strength, but what do you mean I have to go through this again? Are you really there? Am I really walking in this with you? But throughout my chemo journey, I have come to realize that He is there. Like God is there, even when you feel He is not, He is there. And now I had to do a different regime of chemo, because now this one has to be stronger, because we have to attack it at a more aggressive level. So that it
doesn't spread again.
Absolutely, so that it does not spread again. So after the first session, now this one I will go weekly. After the first session, I will just comb my hair, and the hair comes off. No, the hair comes off.
Oh no.
The first one, the hair did not come off. My hair had grown. But in the second one, after 1 session, I comb my hair, and it comes off. My skin darkened. I became so dark. My nails became so dark.
A total opposite of
what happened in the first line. And this time it hit me so much, because I felt like I look like a patient. In the first one, I did not look like a cancer patient. But now you do not need to ask me if I have cancer or not. You just look at me and I look like a cancer patient.
Did you have to stop school?
For the second one, yes, I had to stop, because it was not it was heavier than the first one. I could not even walk. I was so nauseated. I was so fatigued. And I remember asking my oncologist, what do you mean I have to stop school? When will I finish? And she told me life comes before school. Life comes before anything else. Because if you're not alive, then how are you going to school? And I will cry at home. I will cry, because one, life is moving on. People are moving on. My friends are going to the next class. I am still remaining in the same level. And now, not as healthy as I looked. Because the first time people tell me, taukai kama kona cancer. Like, well, but now they don't have to say that. Like, they look and say, wow, sorry. And it was tough. It was tough. I remember I would go in the first days, before I even would go in, I remember when my mom told me, I was in denial, total denial. My hair will shed. My sister tells me, let's shave this hair.
You're like, no.
And I'm like, no. I know it will grow. It won't go further than this. And it got to a point where I was holding my small hair just up here, because that is all that is left. But I am in denial, because I'm like, no, it cannot have gotten to this. And I remember that night, Kate came in and told me, Milka, imagine we will win. And I have sisters.
Still the same slogan.
Say the same slogan. And all my sisters were on phone, and my mom came and asked me, can we shave it? And I said yes. And I remember it was a Monday night. My sisters were on video call, every member of my family, and my mom was there. And every strike she will strike, we will cry. Every time I will see the hair fall, we would cry. Because now it actually felt like now we're getting into a worse stage. Now we're getting into a more patient-like stage. And it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking, Mama.
So I think we'll sorry. It's okay. So again, we will be taking a very short break. We'll come back with Milka for more, just looking at her journey and even the healing process as Milka continues sharing her journey. So we take a very short break. We will be right back.